Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents A Glorious Liberty, Frederick Douglass, and the Fight for an Anti-Slavery Constitution, by Damon Root, narrated by Mirron Willis. A Glorious Liberty. Introduction. Frederick Douglass's Constitution. On May 9th, 1851, the leading lights of the abolitionist movement gathered in Syracuse, New York, for the 18th annual meeting of the American Anti-Slavery Society. Among the items on the agenda was a resolution calling for the society to officially recommend several anti-slavery publications, including a small weekly called the Liberty Party Paper. But William Lloyd Garrison, the powerful editor of the Liberator, one of abolitionism's flagship publications, would have none of that. The Liberty Party Paper, Garrison complained, saw the Constitution as an anti-slavery document. That view was tantamount to heresy, as it clashed with Garrison's famous judgment that the Constitution was a pro-slavery covenant with death and an agreement with hell. So a more congenial resolution was soon proposed. The American Anti-Slavery Society would only recommend those publications that toed the Garrisonian line. It was at this point that Frederick Douglass stood up. An escaped former slave, an internationally acclaimed orator, and the author of a widely celebrated autobiography, Douglass cut a commanding figure in the abolitionist ranks. And for the previous 10 years he had been a friend, an ally, even a self-declared disciple of Garrison's. Every week the Liberator came, and every week I made myself master of its contents, Douglass later recalled. I not only liked, I loved this paper and its editor. But Douglass no longer loved what Garrison had to say about the Constitution. In fact, he now thought Garrison was dead wrong on the subject. What is more, Douglass decided that the time had come for him to say so in public. Douglass felt honor-bound to announce at once, he explains to the assembled worthies, that the paper he edited, the North Star, no longer possessed the requisite qualification for their official approval and commendation. The Constitution, he told them, should be wielded in behalf of emancipation. Those words went down about as well as might have been expected given the audience. There were howls of outrage, cries of censure. Garrison, for his part, accused Douglass of harboring ulterior, read financial, motives. There is roguery somewhere, Garrison exclaimed. Douglass never quite forgave his old comrade for that. In truth, Douglass agonized over his change of opinion. His came around gradually, and only after much brooding. He forced himself to rethink the whole subject, he recalled, and to study with some care not only the just and proper rules of legal interpretation, but the origin, design, nature, rights, powers, and duties of civil government, and also the relations which human beings sustain to it. Those studies began to produce fruit as early as 1849. Writing in the North Star on March 16th of that year, Douglass conceded that the Constitution is not a pro-slavery instrument, when interpreted, standing alone, and construed only in the light of its letter. The trouble came when he considered the pro-slavery opinions of the men who framed and adopted it. How to reconcile the text of the Constitution with the unwritten intentions of its framers? A year later, on April 5, 1850, Douglass moved a little further away from the strict Garrisonian position. The Constitution is at war with itself, he now wrote. Liberty and slavery, opposite as heaven and hell, are both in the Constitution. Both in the Constitution? The imperious Garrison would not like the sound of that. Furthermore, Douglass ventured, if we adopt the preamble to the Constitution.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?